All right, Shalom Aleichem, and welcome everybody. We are learning Hilchas Yerusha.
You're not recording.
Oh, see? But I'm recording there. We're learning Hilchas Yerusha, and in Hilchas Yerusha, we're talking about the topic how you have to split it amongst your kids al pi Torah when you do it as Yerusha, and there's a whole discussion whether you could give one more than the other. Sometimes yes, sometimes not. And the famous halacha is that we learn later on. I'm going to quote it from the Shulchan Aruch later. It says, Kol Mashal Reish Bei Beis. It says, if anybody Kol HaNoisin Nechasov La'acherim, if you give all your money away to other people and you don't give to your kids, even though you're taking away from kids who don't behave properly, okay, and then it says you shouldn't even be involved in this. All right, so I'm going to discuss a shaila that's brought an older Mefarshei Torah on the Chumash, on something that we just read in the last couple of weeks' parshas. The Gemara says, and the Gemara says that the Torah says in Parshas Chaisara that when Eliezer went and took stuff to try to find a kala for Yitzchak, it says Avram Avinu and Eliezer vayikach ha'eved asara gmalim migmali adoinav. Eliezer took 10 camels. Vayelech, and he went, and then the pasuk continues. It says, "V'chol toiv adoinav biyadai." He took all good that Avram Avinu, his master, had. He came along with it. Vayakam vayelech al aram narayim el ir nachar. So Rashi brings the Gemara, and Rashi says, how did he fit kol toiv adoinav on this donkey or on the camel? So says Rashi, it wasn't like he didn't come with goods. He came with a shtar matana. The shtar matana that Avram Avinu wrote to Yitzchak, al kol asheloi, gave Yitzchak everything that Avram owns. So now it will be easy for Eliezer to find a shidduch for this person who is so rich that Avram Avinu gave all of his belongings away to him. So that would make the shidduch go quicker. So the Mizrahi, Rabbi Eliyahu Mizrahi Duram, asks a question. Avram Avinu, we know the Gemara says, was kiyim kol ha-Torah kula ad sheloi nitna, even eight of tavshilin. How was Avram Avinu allowed to do that? Give everything to Yitzchak when he has other sons. He has Yishmael, he has the Bnei Keturah. He took everything away from them and says, this is not my shaila. Wait. So he says, Heich leish litmoya, eich asaz Avram. And the question is, how was he able to be ma'avir the נחלה from Yishmael, Bnei Keturah, and give it to Yitzchak? And the Gemara says in Masechet Ksubis, the Gemara says, Shinina, like tehavi be'avurei achsanta, don't be involved in a procedure that passes over money, afilim libra bisha libra tuva. Even if he's taking away all the money from a bad kid to a good kid, because the reason is you never know who the yotzei chalatzayim, who the kids future generations will be. So when you're taking away from a bad kid, you're taking away from his grandkids, his great grandkids, and that's not right. Now here, Avram Avinu did that. This is not only the Mizrahi's question. The Das Kain and the Bali Tosfos asks that same question on another pasuk. The pasuk says in Perek Chafei pasuk Hey. Vayiten Avram es kol hashaloi liYitzchak. Avram gave everything to Yitzchak. Es kol hashaloi ulivnei apilakshim asher Avram nasan Avram matanis. He gave him some we would call that like dog bones. And vayishalchem al Yitzchak benoi geges unterheit. Here too, so the Bali Tosfos asked the same question. How was Avram allowed to do that? The Bnei Pilakshim are his kids. And he's giving away, taking everything away from them, giving kol hashaloi to Yitzchak. What happened? Maybe the B'nai Pelachim, their descendants would be good kids. You're not allowed to do so. So the Bali HaTosfos answered a very interesting answer. The Bali HaTosfos answered that Avram and Yishmael weren't Jewish. They have a din of Gerim. They have a din of Gerim. And the Gemara, and we're going to learn later on that a Ger is not Yerushas Aviv. Lo midivrei Torah, v'lo midivrei Sefer. We actually have it. I wanted to quote it. It says in the Siman Reish Pei Gimel, a goy is Yerushas Aviv Devar Torah, but a Ger, because he's a new identity, ain't a Yerushas Aviv. The Chachamim just didn't want him to feel like a loser that he became Jewish. He's going to lose money. But gave him the relationship between the father and son are not there anymore. So therefore, says the Bali HaTosfos, because they're Gerim, there was no din of Yerusha, so he didn't take away Yishmael's Yerusha. And what's about the B'nai Pelachim? So you listen to what he says. And he gave to Yitzchak the Yerusha before the B'nai Pelachim were born. They weren't born yet. So because he gave them before they were born, there was no problem. So taking it away from Yishmael, not a problem, because Avram and Yishmael are Gerim. Taking it away from the B'nai Pelachim, they weren't around yet, so he gave it to them. That is the Askenim B'Balei Tosfos answer. The Mizrahi says another answer. He says, the pasuk says, "Ki b'Yitzchak yikara l'chazara." The Eibusha says clearly that who's going to be Avram Avinu? Who's going to be your descendant? That's Bereshis Chaf Aleph Yud Beis. Who's going to be your descendant? Yitzchak. The Eibusha is saying you're going to have other children, but Zera, your Zera is Yitzchak yikara l'chazara. So the Torah excludes Yishmael from being called Avram Avinu's descendant. At least for Yerusha, he won't be called his Zera to have to give him Yerusha. That's what the Mizrahi says. We see this also in the pasuk that you mentioned before, the Taina Sarah to Avram. When Sarah didn't like Ishmael, so Sarah says to Avram, Lo yirash bena ama hazois in b'ni Yitzchak. So I don't want this son of a maidservant should yash together in b'ni Yitzchak. So Rashi brings, Chazal, I think Rashi brings it, but Chazal, the Medrash say, what does he mean in b'ni im Yitzchak? So Sarah was saying like this, Lo yarash in b'ni, this Yishmael, the lowlife, should not be partners with my son, even if my son is not a Yitzchak. Whoever my son will be. And Kal V'chaimer, being that my son is a Yitzchak, for sure, the low-life Yishmael can't get part of it. This is what the Medrash says on that pasuk. So the Yefei Torah, the Medrash, asks a question. This statement doesn't make sense. Mainly you want to say, B'ni, this is my son, and I don't want this other person to chip away what belongs to my son. Fine. That I understand the taina, right? Because since Yishmael is the son of an Amma, and an Amma is not miyuchas after the father, so it's not fair that he should take away from Yitzchak. But what was the second part of the claim? The second part she was saying that especially that my son is Yitzchak, and even if Yitzchak would not be my son, he should be able to have the right to get over Shmuel. That's not right. That's not Al Pi Halacha. So he says, so the Yefei Torah answers, which will give us another insight how to answer this problem. He says, Sarah, we all know, was a Neviah. Sarah was a prophetess. And when she said this, she was talking with Nevuah. She says, Yitzchak likara l'chazara. The pasuk says, Shma b'koila, listen to her, ki b'yitzchak yikara l'chazara. And Chazal tell us, we know that Sarah was even a greater Neviah than Avram Avinu was a Navi. And she knew that the Eibishter is the one that's saying, don't give it to Yishmael, give it all. Benevius, she said this. Why do you need Nevius? Because you got to solve a big problem. The whole chash over here is giving it a bad kid, not giving it a bad kid. Who knows what his descendants are going to be like? But I'm telling you, I'm a Navi. I could see far down the line. And I know nothing good is coming out of Yishmael. And because nothing good is coming out of Yishmael, here, Benevius, Beruach HaKodesh, she has the rights to say, he doesn't deserve it. The problem of taking it away from such a kid doesn't apply. That is the Fei Torah's answer. There is
a shaila on the one who said that the Bnei Torah weren't born yet.
Yeah.
But if you look at the Chumash, first it says the names of all of Bnei Torah's children, and then it says Vayiten and Avram and the next pasuk says that they feel like Shema.
So it looks like they were born. They were there already.
So if you want to say Ein Muktam Meuchar Matorah, but within each sucha,
right,
there has to be a Muktam and Meuchar.
Correct.
No.
Correct. So the one who says that that's the Mizrahi that says it's not. It's the Mizrahi.
So we have a shaila on the Mizrahi.
Okay.
He can't say that they weren't born yet.
When he gave the shot to Eliezer, they were born.
Okay.
It would have to be because it says it's written here that he gave everything.
And the Thomas when he got afterwards.
But
he gave everything at that point.
But Thomas was after he gave it. But you can't say that they weren't born yet when he gave everything to Yitzchak.
Because the names are mentioned. Okay. There is a Chsam Sofer. There is a Chsam Sofer on this Gemara Ksubis where the Gemara says, don't take away from a child, and even if he's not good. The Chsam Sofer says, I had a discussion with my father, and my father says a pshat. The pasuk says, "Vayera hadavar ma'oid be'enei Avram." Avram was very hurt about al oides benoi. He saw the behavior of his kid Yishmael, and it hurt him. Vayomer Elokim al Avram al Yeira be'einecha al anar v'al masecha. Don't let it bother you too much. Kol hashatomer lelecha Sarah. Just listen to what Sarah says. Shmar b'koilo. So Rashi says, listen to her nevius, and she'll solve the problem. And the question is, what's the nevius? What do you need Ruach HaKodesh? You have a troublemaker kid, go to a therapist. What are you going to a neviah to solve the problem? And another question the Chsam Sofer brings up: why did it hurt so much Avram al oidas benoi? You know, Nebuch, a lot of people suffer with this, and what they do is, if they have to expel your child, there's ways how you deal with it. Especially that Yishmael was a terrible rebel. Yishmael was mitzachek. He had avodah zarah, gilui arayit. He hit the limit. So do what you got to do to a child like that. Number 3, these are all shilas that the Chsam Sofer brings. Why is the pasuk Mayrich? It says al oides benoi. You could have just said vayera hadavar be'enei Avram. There's something hidden about the oides about the son particular, that he's about to do something to his son that was stumbling for him. So the father, the Chsam Sofer, learns pshat like this. Avram was not hurt about the fact that Nebuch, sometimes you have to act tough to a troubled child and he has to kick him out. His kid was a Eved Avodah Zarah. That he knew that he has to do. What bothered him is oides benoi. Who's benoi? I'm kicking him out, but I'm worried about his son. Maybe when I kick Yishmael out, it's going to hurt also Yishmael's sons. As the Gemara says, that you're not allowed to take something away from a person, because when you take something away from a person, you're taking away from his kids too. So when it says Vayera Adava al Oidas Benoi, it doesn't mean about Yishmael. A troubled kid, you know how to deal with. I just don't know what the after effects, the after shocks will be to his children. So the Eibusha says Al Yera Beinecha. If that's what's bothering you, don't worry about it. Don't let it bother you, because you have Sarah talking to you. And Sarah is a balas ruach hakodesh. And if she tells you not to worry about it, that means to say that she sees what's all the goodies who are coming out of Yishmael. And she knows there's nothing good coming out of him. So don't have to worry about that you're taking away from a positive person. Now that's why it also says, Shma b'koila, ki b'yitzchak yikara l'chazara. Because according to this Mizrahi, in these words, ki b'yitzchak yikara l'chazara, is hinted the answer on oides benoi. Because since we know that the good children will only come out of Yitzchak, and Yishmael is not his zera, that's why Avraham Avinu, don't be worried to give everything away to Yitzchak. There is a Maram Shik in Choshen Mishpat Siman Mem Gimel. The Maram Shik says like this, that, and we have, I think it's brought in the Pischei Tshuva and the Shulchan Aruch here too. This halacha that you can't take away from one of your children and give it to another child is it's not an umbrella statement. Sometimes there are exceptions to that rule. That is only if the kid is not an apikoros. If the kid is not an apikoros, or he's not from those who drop the whole Yiddishkeit and the Machal Shabbos Mefarhesia, if he is Rahman al someone like that, then you are allowed to drop him out of the will. If he's apikoros, then you know the Maram Shik says a person who lived his life that way, guess what? His children are also going to be that way. So if you worry about taking away from his children, that will not happen because they won't be good. That's the Maram Shik. And the Maram Shik says, we find a similar Chasam Sofer in Chelik Beis, Yeridei Siman Shin Chav Beis. The Ramah says over there, and this is very important halacha for principals and teachers, that Ramah in Shimon Shin Lamed Daled is over there, talks about Nidui, Cherem. It says, if Rahman al somebody has to be put in the Cherem for he stepped out of line, do what you got to do, put him in Cherem to bring law and order. And don't worry about the fact that if you're going to be too harsh on him, who knows where he's going to go. Maybe he's going to drop Yiddishkeit. That's what the Rambam says. Menadin lemishu chayiv nidui. You, Rahman al give cherem to a person who deserves it. Afilu kisheyesh lachu shayidei kein yetzei l'tar b'sra. Even if you might be worried that if you push him too far, he might drop it all. Ain't choishes in lekach. That's what the Rambam says. Comes the Taz, and the Taz says, how can you not worry about that? What's with the whole Baal Tshuva movement? We always give everybody a second chance and hope he'll come back. And suddenly we say, nah, we give up on him. He deserves the whole book. And the Chasam Sofer says, if the person is, you're worried possibly he's going to drop it all, he ain't going down himself. He's going to drag down his whole family with his little kids. So how is the Ramah so strict about this? So the Chasam Sofer comes with a chiluk, and he says it depends. A rasha that's a min, apikoros, a poiker b'Torah. So just like he's living that sort of a life, everyone around him associated with him is getting influenced with this poison. And there's nobody good going to come out of that. He's going to poison everybody around him, and therefore, you can forget about it. You got to do what you got to do to bring law and order. But somebody who's just a shtickle balavera because he's a bal taiva, and be careful how much you push him. Be careful how much you push him. So based on this discussion, the Maram Shik uses that same logic legabe here, legabe the halacha of Yerusha. You're worried that you're taking away money from one son because he's a bad kid, but who knows what's going to happen later. Says the Maram Shik, this chash that hopefully good kids may follow, that's only if the father was this kid who's troubled is going through a time when he's troubled. And who knows, there's a good chance that his descendants will change and become better. But a min and apikaitis and a kaifer b'Torah, it's karev levadai, says the Maram Shik, that he ain't having any good kids. He's going to live that life and create a life, an atmosphere that way. And a person like that, you could definitely take away the money from them. And therefore, we're back to our question. We're answering our question. How was Avraham Avinu allowed to take away money from Yishmael and give it all to Yitzchak? Or take it away from Avraham, from the Pilakshim, and give it to the Yitzchak? Even from the Pilakshim. So Yishmael, is a low life, right? But how did he take it away from the Bnei Pilakshim? So according to this Maram Shik, that a Pikaris and a Kaifer B'Torah is, you have no worries that anything good is coming out of him. The same would be over here by the Bnei Pilakshim. Why? Because I'm guessing that being a descendant from the Pilakshim, Avram was not chayish that any good kids would come, especially Yishmael, he had no worry about. Especially Yishmael. Okay, these are some of the answers I saw on this question.